Trump gives Cuba bad news. When the Obama administration extended recognition of the Cuban government during their second term, they more or less legitimized the failing communist dictatorship. Now, Washington, D.C., is taking a different tact. According to CBS News, the U.S. Embassy in Havana has issued hotel restrictions for U.S. citizens traveling on the island. These restrictions come after several American travelers have reported suffering from hearing loss and other cognitive impairments. Late in September, all non-essential diplomats were ordered to leave the U.S. Embassy in Havana after several reporting coming down with illnesses. According to the U.S. State Department, reported that 21 diplomats and their family members became sick after mysterious sonic attacks in Havana. Although the American government has been quick to not call this a retaliatory measure, the State Department has still decided to not issue travel visas to American citizens wishing to travel on the island. Besides diplomats, a string of American tourists have also claimed that they have been the targets of sonic attacks. Since we issued the September 29 travel warning, we have received a handful of reports from U.S. citizens who report they experienced similar symptoms following stays in Cuba, said a spokesperson for the State Department. We have no way of verifying whether they were harmed by the same attacks targeting official U.S. employees. The symptoms of these civilians have not yet been independently verified. According to some unnamed American officials, American intelligence officers stationed in Cuba were the first to be targeted by the mysterious attacks. The two Havana hotels that have been singled out by the State Department include the Hotel Nacional and Hotel Capri. All American tourists have been warned to avoid these hotels at all costs. While the U.S. government believes that some kind of sonic weapon was used, many scientists who spoke to the New York Times claim that such an attack is highly improbable. So far, there has been no clear indication of exactly what is going on the island. If the Cuban government is really behind these attacks, then it would be somewhat suicidal. After all, thanks to U.S. dollars, the communist dictatorship in Havana is limping on after a decade or more of financial depression following the collapse of the Soviet Union, Cuba's former financial and military backer. Even despite an injection of tourist dollars, the Cuban government has still been forced to ration gasoline. These days, long lines of classic American cars can be seen waiting their turn at the pumps. The Cuban government's economy also fell by 0.9% during 2016. Any type of attack on Americans or other tourists is a surefire way to limit the possibility of economic cooperation between Cuba and other nations. The Castro regime should think twice about pursuing such actions, that is if they are really behind these sonic attacks. President Trump's response to the matter has been adequate. A better policy, however, would be to rescind President Obama's diplomatic outreach with Cuba. Let the communist nation die a slow death, then, when Cuba has changed its government all on its